Hi, I'm Alvin Wayne, a New York City-based interior designer, and welcome to my home. I live in an 800 square foot apartment and it's broken up into different spaces. The first room here is actually, it's meant to be a home office, but I made it a dining room. And on the other side, you have the kitchen, which opens up into the living room. There's one bedroom and a bathroom. In my entryway, as soon as you come into my home, you are welcome with this neon sign that says, "Kiss me, Karl." Now, I know you're probably wondering, who is Karl? Karl Lagerfeld. And not just because he was at the Met Gala. I got this like years ago. So one of my friends used to be a visual display manager, and they were gonna trash this sign, and I was like, no, give me that sign. And I actually put it here, and then this is a chair that I actually designed myself with my furniture maker, Samuel Gregg, and we put it here. So it's the perfect spot to take off your shoes or put your shoes on when you're about to exit. And once you move beyond the foyer, the first room you'll see is the dining room. Again, this was actually supposed to be a home office, but being from the South and I like some form of tradition, I wanted a dining room. And it's not just a dining room, I actually work from here. So anytime I have samples and I'm working on projects, this is a perfect space to work on this with my assistant and we make things happen. So in this space, design-wise, I really wanted to challenge myself and push this space and incorporate a lot of different elements. Of course, when you look out the window, you see the Empire State Building. And that's why I put the mirror on the wall opposite of it. So when you're sitting here, you see the Empire State Building and you get a glimpse of the city, but the wallpaper makes you feel like you're sitting in the field. This is wallpaper from a company that I love, Bell Art Studio. And they're based in Sweden, but this is more of a pastoral vibe. So it makes you feel like you're sitting in the field. And then with the light fixtures, in my mind, it was like the clouds. So you're high above New York City, but you're sitting in a field and you have the clouds cascading above your head, which leads me to this banquette. It's not a true banquette, it's actually a love seat, but I wanted it to feel like a banquette. So it's in a white boucle fabric and it's curved to mimic the curve of the table. Now, what's interesting about the table, this is Calicolor marble, and I designed the base of the table. So the base of the table, I wanted it to feel very sculptural and add that contemporary feel to the dining room. So hence the black base, and it's like it's stacked and it's almost gonna tip over, but it's not. Then you go to the chairs. The chairs are oxidized metal, and I love the texture that it pulls from the wallpaper. Again, it's like the wallpaper is this feel, and like the chair is probably covered in moss or it's been sitting out in the rain. So it feels like you're outside again. And then the material being metal, it's contemporary feeling. So it's not true traditional. Like you have fabric, you have metal, you have the outdoorsy feel. And then the sconces. The sconces are actually brass and horsehair. So it goes back to having that natural material, but then the shininess of the brass, and it'll patina over time, which will pick back up on the patina of the metal chairs. Now moving on to the rest of the space, you have the bedroom, the bathroom, and it also opens up into the kitchen and living room. But before we get to that space, I want to talk about this piece of art here. This is a piece of art that's designed by my friend Ronnie Williams. His signature is their raw art. It's on raw canvas, and I actually just asked him to make me something abstract, and this is what he came up with, and I absolutely love it. I love investing in original art, and it also hides an ugly electrical panel. So coming over into this space, we enter the kitchen. Now, I gotta be honest, I don't do a lot of cooking because it's just really not my thing. But I wanted my kitchen to be beautiful, and I still want it to be a statement because it does open up into the rest of the space. So I styled the countertops like I would style any other vignette. I have design books here, and this is a sculpture that I actually found the artist on Instagram. His name is Daniele Fortuna, and I'm probably not saying that right, but he is like Italian. He lives in Italy. And I thought it was so dope that he makes these sculptures. Each piece is wood that he cuts and puts together to make these sculptures. And I saw it as an investment piece as well because I kind of found him when he was just starting out. And now his stuff is actually in museums and galleries. So that was a win-win. I don't cook a lot, again, but if I decide to prepare something, I have all of my kitchen accoutrements to cook with here. Again, I have art in the kitchen. This piece of art, it's actually on acrylic. You can't really see it. It's actually on acrylic, and it's from an amazing artist. Her name is Dopes with a Z, and she's in LA. And it's actually, I forget the name of this piece, but it's a piece and it's on acrylic. It's very heavy, and it was gifted to me, and I absolutely love it. And behind it, there's a piece from my friend Ronnie, again, because I wanted to incorporate pops of color throughout the space. You see the color in the statue, you see color in the Karl's fixture here. I just wanted to really incorporate color into the space and not just take things so serious. I mean, it's a kitchen, even though we're not cooking. And on the cabinets, I wanted my cabinets to make a statement. I'm obsessed with brass cabinetry. And because I'm a renter, it's not like I can just rip out the cabinets and say, give me brass cabinets. So I actually saw this from another content creator on Instagram. Her name is Kim White. And she actually used contact paper and covered all of her cabinets. And it just looked beautiful, and it photographs and looks like real brass. And so this is the same $6 Amazon contact paper. And I just thought design-wise, it just really brightened up the space and opened up the space. And golden hour is top tier. Perfect for a cocktail. And also, because I am a renter, this is a hack that I tell everybody. Change out your light fixtures. It's okay. So the light fixture here was a splurge. This is from one of my favorite interior designers, Kelly Wearstler. And I splurged and I wanted this, and it makes a statement in the kitchen. So don't be afraid to make subtle changes like brass contact paper and change out all the light fixtures, because it's subtlety. Subtlety at its best, right? So coming over on this side, I have these counter stools. They're super, super heavy, but I wanted them, they're in a cream fabric, and I wanted them to kind of disappear. So when you look at the back, you really get into the wood detail. Design-wise, I love to mix wood tones and textures throughout any space. And then over in the kitchen wall, the wall that separates the kitchen between the living room, I have these Basquiat skateboards that I got from the MoMA design store. I really gravitated towards them because of the color of it, and it kind of picks up on the color of the sculpture in the kitchen. But also because it's a Basquiat, and that's like kind of iconic. Again, it is a replica, it's not original, one day. But I tell everybody, just invest in art that evokes an emotion. If you have an emotional reaction to it, you should get it. Don't worry about if it works with the color scheme, although this happens to work with the color scheme. But I thought it was dope, and I really loved it. And it's skateboards, so it's like a win-win situation. It just makes it feel a little cooler. Now, the main attraction in the entire home lives here on the countertop. This is what I like to call the bowl of fame. So when all my friends come over, you are required to take a selfie, and it goes into the bowl of fame. I thought of this idea because, I never really had personal photos around in my house. And something in my life happened when my sister passed away, and I realized that these memories are tangible, and photos, they are tangible memories. We have a lot of things in our iPhones and Androids, and we're like, oh, these are the photos, but I think it's so cool to actually have tangible memories right here in your house. And you can look back and see all the great times that you had with all of your friends right here in your own home, because this is a fun house. We live in this house. We entertain in this house. We have parties in this house. And I got proof right here. Now on to the living room. The thing I love most about this space is that the ceiling is actually higher in this area. So it just opens up to these massive windows and the view of the city that I just absolutely adore. So when it came to furniture placement, I really wanted this space to feel more like a lounge or a beautiful hotel lobby. So I kept the scale low to not obstruct the view. If you notice, all of the furniture is at the window break, and I designed these coffee tables to do the same. They're actually lower to the ground than most coffee tables. I designed them out of my favorite materials, which is marble. I have a thing for marble. I think marble is the most luxurious stone to mankind and the most luxurious item that you can use in any space. So it was only fitting that I create these two coffee tables. And again, I love to use black and white in any space. So black, white, marble, you can't go wrong. The rug is a Moroccan rug that I got from Etsy. Again, I love the black and white, but I also felt like it needed some type of pattern in this space. But I thought it was important to put the pattern on the ground. But when you use pattern and it's black and white and the scale, it's all about the scale. And that's what makes this work in this space. The color of the sofa is actually an olive green. It sometimes reads a little yellow, but I went with this color because I love to use colors that are found in nature, but it's still a color. And I wanted this to be the pop. And then for the pillows on the sofa, I actually wanted to play with more texture. So these are actually silk in the front and then they're velvet on the back. But it's all about the texture and the pattern. I wanted to incorporate more colors. So if you notice, there's this same color that you see in the skateboards, that you see in the sculpture in the kitchen. I wanted to bring that over into this space, as well as the soft pinks that you see in the artwork and the neon sign. Another star feature of this room is all of my plant life. I use plant life in all of my designs, but it's very important because I feel like plants add a sculptural element to any space and they also cleanse the air. And it makes me a more responsible adult. I have to take care of this living and breathing thing, and I just absolutely love plants. They just make me happy. They do something for me. And on this side of the wall, these are two media consoles that I pushed together. I wanted something to be big and impactful, but I couldn't find anything large enough to fit the space. So if you notice, they are two different colors because I purchased them at two different times. And I thought about staining this one, but there's just something about this ombre effect that I just really love. And again, it adds dimension and depth to the space, especially with the carvings here. These are from West Elm, and a lot of people think these are custom or I had them made or designed, but these are actually from West Elm, and I love them. One thing about my home, I'm a fan of music. So I have my record player here. I love design books, they're all here. But I also created this product, I call it the vessel. It is a marble vessel that holds candles. In design, I like to stimulate all the senses. So scent is one of those senses, but I actually hate seeing candles. So I designed the vessel to hide that. You can still put your favorite candle in it, and it's beautiful. Again, marble is the most luxurious stone to mankind. And my television is a Samsung frame TV. I love this TV because it acts as a piece of art. And it doesn't even have a glare. When you're watching television and all these windows that I have, it doesn't have a glare. So I think that is the added bonus to having this television. And it sits super flat to the wall. And you probably didn't even know it was a TV until I said that. When it comes to the books that are here on my console, this is one of my favorite books. It's 70s Decorative Arts. I'm a huge fan of mid-century modern, 70s design, and this book has all of the best design from the 70s. And I feel like that time period was very timeless when it comes to design. My sofas are replicas of a sofa that was made in the 70s. So that's how strong the 70s has us in a chokehold. But I love this book. I love the Bauhaus book as well because I'm a fan of just anything design, all areas of design. I love to research and see what I can pull from those different areas and decades. Absolutely love that. This vase here is a vase from a company called Be Zippy. I absolutely love every single thing that they create. This vase and the one on the coffee table is from them. Normally, I would not be able to afford one of these vases, but they had a sample sale and I jumped right on it and I was able to score two for probably the price of one. And that was a good deal. If you notice, I have a lot of crystals around. There's a crystal on the coffee table and there's a large crystal here. I feel like crystals add another sculptural element to a space, but they also have healing powers. Now, I'm not all spiritual and all that other good stuff, but I just, aesthetically, I love the way that they look. And I also know that there's benefits to having crystals. I also have another piece of art here. These spray paint cans are by an artist named Mr. Brainwash. And he's a graffiti artist. And these are the spray paint cans that he used to do his graffiti. But he also puts art on the spray paint cans. And at the bottom of each can, he has his fingerprint. And this is number 79 of 150. made in 2020. So they're collector's items. And I love this because when a lot of people think of art, they think of, oh, you have a painting, or you have this, or you have a sculpture. But this is another form of art that I love. It's street art, but it's still art. Love that. Jade plant. Again, I use a lot of plants, but they're sculptural and they're beautiful. And I just love the way the jade plant looks. And then to have it in like this bronze or brass planter, I think it picks back up on the little elements of brass that I have spread throughout the house. And now it's time to go to the bedroom. Okay. So the area with the bedroom, you'll notice at the end of the hall, this is a moment that I created. It was just dead space. So again, black and white. I always think black and white grounds a space. So I did a graphic black and white wallpaper here and this irregular shaped mirror, because you can never have too many mirrors. And the good thing about this mirror, it actually reflects the view from the window in the kitchen. So it bounces light around, which is key in interior design. Otherwise, this hallway would be super dark. And then we have the bathroom. So in the bathroom, you know, it's a pretty basic bathroom, but I wanted a wow moment. And I think bathrooms and powder rooms are the one space that you can really go for that wow moment. And if you don't like it, who cares? You can just change it because it's such a small space. So this is actually a peel and stick wallpaper that I got from Amazon. The original background of it was like a purplish color. They tried to make it look like it was graffiti on concrete. I did not like it. So I took an X-Acto knife and I took about 3 days to cut out all of the background. And so this is the wall that you're looking at, and this is the wallpaper because it's peel and stick. But I wanted it to be a true black and white, to go back to that black and white with pops of color throughout the entire house. And I love the way it looks. It makes taking a shower and other things very fun. So when you enter the bedroom, the first thing that you'll see is photos. These photos are photos of the people who are the closest to me. And if you remember earlier, I said I wasn't a fan of having family photos around because I felt like it was too personal. You want your house to be nondescript, or I felt like my house was supposed to be like a showroom all the time because I am an interior designer. But when my sister passed, that was a moment for me to take a step back and just showcase the people that I love in a way. And it's in my bedroom. So the bedroom is a personal space. So everyone's not privy to your safe space or your bedroom, especially since my home is so open to the public. But this photo is a photo of me and my sister here. I don't know how old I was or how old she was, but you know, she was older than me. So she's holding my hand and she's leading and guiding me. And I felt like she did that throughout our entire life, our childhood and adulthood. I was always like following in her footsteps. So this was sentimental to me because I feel like she's still leading and guiding me and holding my hand, even though she's not here anymore. She was my best friend. We talked every day, and I miss her every day. But this is a constant reminder that she's still with me and she's still holding my hand. The second photo is me and my best friends, my two best friends. We've been best friends since freshman year of college. And we took this in New Orleans at at his birthday party in New Orleans. And this was an off-guard moment. This is how we truly are 24/7, just laughing, having a good time, and the photographer caught this moment. And I thought it was very important for me to showcase this in my home. So I always remember, even though my best friend is not here with me, I still have my other two best friends and we still have a good time. And these are the moments that life is about. So it's always a reminder. And then below that, I have my parents. I talk to my parents all day, every day. I absolutely love them. But the thing about my parents they are my biggest cheerleaders and advocators. They instilled in me that you can do whatever it is you want to do. And they tell me all the time that they're proud of me. And that means a lot to me, especially choosing a career that is not a doctor or a lawyer or a regular career. But for them to say that they're proud of me and for them to let me redo their entire home, that means a lot. So that's what this wall means to me. And I think it's important for people to showcase that. If you want to showcase it, showcase it. And I think I took this and applied it to the bowl of fame because not only do I want to capture these moments of people that I love so much, but with friends because I love them too. But I want to showcase that in a different type of way. Now, when you enter the room, you are bamboozled by this black and white graphic wallpaper. The thing with this space is design-wise, I wanted a space that was void of color because I'm a designer and I like to say I dream in technicolor, and I'm always thinking and putting patterns and colors together. So I didn't want to do a basic white or cream room. So I wanted to play with black and white. But the thing with using two colors, I still want it to be designed well, and I still want it to be visually groundbreaking, if that makes sense. So I wanted to play with texture and I wanted to play with scale. So if you look at the wallpaper, this wallpaper is a mural and it's black and white, and I put it on the wall and on the ceiling because I still wanted to play with the scale and the height of the space. And I wanted to draw your eye up. But then the bed is black leather and wood. And then the bedding has this small print on it. And then the sheets are black. But then the nightstands have wood, black, and they have like a little geometric shape on it. But then the rug, it's cream, but it also has a print to it or a pattern, but it still has that visual texture. So when you look at the space, it's black and white, but it's full of texture. And I like to say it's eye candy. Your eye moves around the space, but you're still not overwhelmed by all of the texture that's going in the room, in the pattern, because it's black and white. I also work from this space. So in this area, this is my office or my work desk. So this is like the day-to-day. My laptop is here. All my samples are here that I work with. There's samples on the floor. There's samples everywhere. So this is where I work. And the thing about having a desk in front of a window, I like to say I'm living my Carrie Bradshaw fantasy. So I'm like sitting on the laptop, just working away, but I have this amazing view of the city that I love so much right outside. So it's full of inspiration when I'm working on projects. I'm always inspired by the things around me with all the samples and the different textures that are here, but also just looking out the window and having that natural light is great for Zoom calls. So I know a lot of people will probably say like the bedroom is just a place that you just sleep, you don't work from the bedroom, but I do it all. I think because I am a creative person, and again, I say I like to dream in technicolor, I feel like the bedroom is the one place that all creativity stems from. This is a place, the last place that you see when you go to bed at night, and the first place that you see when you wake up in the morning. And this is a place that you dream of all the dreams and the best version of yourself. You dream here. So I wanted the room to be a reflection of that and encapsulate that, a place of creativity and a dream world. So that was my space. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And always remember, home is the one place that you feel safe, that you feel your most creative self, and that you become your most aspirational self. And that's what home is to me.
Have you been living here in New York City?
I've been living in New York for 6 years this month.
So what brought you to New York?
So originally I worked in fashion, so that's what ultimately brought me to New York. And now I ditched fashion and it's all about furniture.
So how did that happen?
I actually went to school for design, interior design, and when I graduated in interior design, we hit the recession. And so I just stayed working in fashion.
Mm. So there's more money in fashion than interior design?
Not necessarily.
Can you elaborate?
I'm trying to think of how do I elaborate on that. I don't think there's more money in interior design. No, let me take that back. I don't think there's more money in fashion versus interior design. I think they kind of go hand in hand, and it's what you make of it. But I know where my heart lies, and that was always interior design.
Who are your inspirations?
My inspirations are Frank Lloyd Wright is like my most favorite architect. And then when it comes to interior design, Kelly Wearstler, hands down.
Do you think their style has, do you think you have a piece of their style when you design?
I think when I design, I always go back to my inspiration, but I never try to copy. So I always appreciate the organic modernness of Kelly Wearstler, the shapes and the forms and all those things that they both do, but I make it my own.
And how long have you been an interior designer?
I've been in, oh gosh, that's a hard question because I graduated in 2008. So interior design has always been instilled in me and I've always done it outside of fashion. But I guess you can say 2019 is like when I really just went gung-ho with interior design. The thing is, when I'm in a career, I'm really dedicated towards it. Again, like I said, interior design and fashion, they go hand in hand to me. So it's all about materiality, textures, fabrication, lighting, space planning. They all go hand in hand and they all evoke an emotion. So it was never this or that for me. It was just that I happened to gain income from this and did this one on the side. And now I just do interior design.
So if I'm getting my timelines correct, right? 2019 is when you went straight gung-ho into interior design.
Yes.
But you've been here for 6 years. So when you first came here, you were in fashion.
Yes.
So how did that transition from coming to New York as fashion and then in 2019 you went into interior design?
So I always said this when I worked in fashion. When I did not know when payday was, it was time to go ahead and switch careers. So I've always done interior design outside of fashion. And when I started to dig deeper into it and do more projects, that's when I was like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And that's when I decided to leave fashion.
Tell me about your first client in interior design.
Okay, so my very first client in interior design was actually one of my friends. So when I graduated from design school, I knew I needed to build my portfolio. So I was like, hey, can I redesign a space in your home? You just provide the budget for it. I'll do it for free. You know, just take me to dinner or something. And that was my first client where I had the consultation. I made sure everything was to their liking and what they wanted. And I really didn't have a true identity as a designer at that time, but I just knew I needed to build my portfolio. So that was my first client.
Wow. So from then till now, where are you now in terms of working with clients?
Now you're going to pay.
Obviously.
But now I think I truly have a brand identity, if you would say. Like I always try to make sure that the home reflects the homeowner, but you're going to know that I did it. I always incorporate certain elements like natural materials. I love black and white. You'll always see some black and white. I love marble. I love mixing wood textures and tones. So you'll know that I'm there. Wallpaper. You'll always see wallpaper. You'll know that I was there, but it'll still be tailored to the client. So I moved to New York with my fashion career. I was transferred. So they covered relocation, they covered all that. So it's not like I moved to New York broke. I had something lined up. And honestly, looking back at it, I've always wanted to live in New York, but not really. But it kind of worked out. And then since I'm here, it's like, spread your wings and fly. So my way was paid. No, like real talk, like I had relocation. So they covered the move, they covered, I mean, it was enough money to like get a great place and like work. Like, you know, I worked for a great company and it wasn't like I was at the bottom of the totem pole either. So it worked out.
That's great. That changes a lot of my questions lines because most people, it's not that way. Mm-hmm. But that's cool to hear that.
I did not struggle. And honestly, you can keep this if you want to. The thing I love about New York is New York has been good to me since day one. I don't have a struggle story, knock on wood. I've never struggled here. I just feel like being in New York was supposed to be for me because literally everything I've done has worked out so far since day one.
Okay, so coming from Tallahassee, Florida, is New York expensive?
Hell yeah, New York is expensive as. Okay, I can't say that.
I mean, I could censor that, but.
But yeah, New York is very expensive. And like, I'm from Tallahassee, Florida, but I lived in Atlanta. I went to school in Atlanta. And then I moved to Houston. I lived in Austin, back to Atlanta, and then I came to New York. So I lived a couple of, major cities. New York is by far the most expensive city. But I think a lot of people get it kind of twisted when you say New York is expensive. In my opinion, New York is expensive when it comes to your living arrangements and your living situation. But as far as actually living outside of your home in New York, I think it's comparable to everywhere else. It depends on what you want to do.
Okay. And
do you think that? I'm like having like a real conversation now.
I think in terms of, I don't know the right term, but let's call it leisure and living expenses.
Yeah.
Not rent, right?
Mm-hmm.
New York is actually kind of cheap.
It's cheap. The most expensive thing in New York is the roof over your head.
Yeah, if you know what you're doing, it's cheap.
Right.
The most expensive two things about New York, one, obviously the rent, and going out to eat. But if you're just talking, I've been to a few, countries and cities by now. Our train's pretty damn cheap. It sounds expensive,
but it's cheap.
$2.75.
Oh. Well.
I guess you don't take the train.
I Uber. So living in New York City, my most expensive bill is my rent. My rent is $4,500 a month. Outside of that, I really don't have a lot of expenses because when I worked in fashion, I actually paid all my debt off. And before I left that job, I made sure that I was debt-free. Student loans, car note, credit card payments, all that stuff was like debt-free. So my most expensive thing is my rent. Everything else is relative. Like, of course, I like to Uber Eats. I don't cook a lot. I like to Uber a lot of places. And like social life. So I really don't spend a lot of money outside of my rent.
But social life, that can add up in New York City, right?
It can add up, but you have to know how to do the social life. Like I go to a lot of industry parties, like whether it's from, brand collaborations or if it's like not social media, but if it's like interior design things. So that's a part of social life too. A lot of those events are free. And so I just encapsulate that in the social life as well. Or like going out to dinner, which I don't go out all the time, maybe like on the weekend. So it's about how you do it.
What are you spending on average when you go out?
Honestly, when I go out, if I'm going out to dinner or lunch, I'm probably going to spend about $80
Okay.
per meal.
So what's your favorite meal here in New York?
Gosh, it's too many. Like, all the food is amazing in New York. Little Italy, hands down, the best Italian. I've not been to Italy, so I don't know. But hands down, the best Italian food I've ever had. But I like classic American food. There's just so many great fooderies here in New York, so I can't name one.
Okay. Can you get into your income sources in terms of...
Yeah. So I'm an interior designer, so I take on residential interior design projects, so I get money from that. It's very lucrative. I also do a lot of stuff with on social media with brands and brand collaborations and partnerships. So there's income coming from that. And those are my two main sources of income.
Oh, wow, that's really cool. So I know about the interior design part. I think obviously most people will know about the interior design part. The social media part, how did you get into that?
So with social media, I just really started showcasing my interior design projects and taking people along the journey with the projects from start to finish. I learned that what I was interested in when I'm looking at someone's content is I want to know the thought process behind it. I want to know the beginning, the middle, and the end. Like, why did you do what you did? Like, what was the reason that you chose this paint color? And so I just started showcasing that and showing people my process. And I think that's when the social media influencer part became. But it's also being genuine and showing who you really are, because people can really see through that, even through a phone screen.
And so how does a brand deal come about?
My first brand collaboration was with CB2. And I was always a fan of the brand. Like, most of the stuff in my home is from CB2, and it always has been, because I really love what they do. So I would go into the store, I would just get on stories and show that I was in the store and tag the brand. And one day I was about to redo my bedroom, and something was like, you should send them a message. And I sent a DM, was like, hey, I need a new bed. Before I hit purchase, do you want to do a collaboration? And that's how it happened.
What's your favorite part about living in New York?
My favorite part about living in New York is literally having everything at your fingertips. And for me, being in interior design and the world of social media, all the publications are here. A lot of the brand headquarters are here. You have access to all of these things, and it's just right here. You just show up. Condé Nast calls you, be like, hey, can you come shoot for Architecture Digest? Sure, I'll be there. Everything is here.
And you're speaking about that as someone in the interior design industry?
Yes, so in the interior design industry, but in general, everything is at your fingertips. Whatever you're into, it's here. You like museums. Some of the best museums in the world are here. Some of the best museums in the world are here. Let me say that again. Not all of them, some. But you have everything at your fingertips. Everything is here. You have access, unlimited access, sometimes 24/7. Everything you could possibly want is here.
How have your feelings changed over the years, moving to New York and now living in New York for 6 years?
I absolutely love New York. New York to me is the end all be all. And if you can make it here, it's so true. And I know it's so cliche, but if you can make it here, you can literally make it anywhere. And that's what makes me love New York even more. I absolutely love it. I can't imagine myself living anywhere else.
So that cliche, you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. As New Yorkers, we understand what that means. Someone who's not a New Yorker, can you explain to them what that means?
So if you can make it in New York, that means in New York, you have to hustle. And a lot of times people can see through the BS. If you're given an opportunity and you don't rise to the occasion, like, you're done, that's it. So you have to be able to hustle, and when it's your time, you have to be able to show up and show out. And when that happens, all the doors open for you. But you have to go get it. You just can't sit around and wait. Everybody's gonna run circles around you if you sit around and wait. So if you can make it here, you can go anywhere in the world, and you're gonna take that mentality with you because it's instilled in you, and you're gonna make it.
That is the answer. That is the actual answer. Do you feel like living in New York and working in New York has changed due to the pandemic?
Honestly, for me, I think living and working in New York, it really hasn't changed a lot for me since the pandemic. I think it's actually helped the world of interior design because now people had an opportunity to be home more, and they found out that, or they realized that their homes just didn't function the way they needed to function. So that's when they started looking to Instagram accounts of home decor accounts and DIY people and calling interior designers and say, like, this isn't working for me. So I think that the pandemic actually helped the world of interior design. So I guess I do see a difference in that it's helped my career. But as far as living in New York, I don't think so.
What advice would you give to someone who wants to move to New York?
The biggest piece of advice I would give to someone who wants to move to New York, I think you should visit often. I think you should familiarize yourself with all the neighborhoods. So when you do decide to move, you know where you want to live. I think you should have a game plan, and I think you should save. When it comes to your living expenses, New York is very expensive. You're gonna need a lot of money to just actually move and get a place. Outside of that, have fun, but plan.